With 152 days to the 2023 general elections and less than 48 hours to the official commencement of the political campaign, as indicated in the timetable and schedule of activities from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, is not just the issue in the election, but he also appears set to disrupt and deadlock the February 25 presidential race. Already, the 2023 presidential election is generally considered a three-horse race among the trio Atiku Abubakar of People's Democratic Party, PDP, Bola Tinubu's All Progressive Congress, and Peter Obi, Rabiu Kwankwaso of the New Nigeria People's Party and NPP is coming closely behind and may contribute to who wins. In a recent survey by this, they revealed that the obedient movement fast gaining traction in many parts of the country, especially as new volunteers enlist on the Obi project almost on a daily basis. There might be no clear winner in the first ballot of the presidential run, as the Obi factor might cause a disruption leading to an inconclusive exercise. This day, Nigeria's leading newspaper will be launching a major opinion poll from October to study more trends in depth and local government by local government sample size with a key global partner and big-time player in the polling world. Big deal coming up. Meanwhile, thousands have rallied in Abuja in support of the Labour Party's presidential candidate Peter Obi. A Rice correspondent, Mary Chinda, has more.
Hundreds to thousands, these passionate. The Unity Fountain is a starting point for today's rally. Here, from hundreds to thousands, these passionate Obi supporters have only one message: a new Nigeria is possible.
This is what today is about, to raise that value of awareness, and so you can see the energy. The energy is saying no to rigging, no to election fraud, no to every bad thing, no to vote buying. This is what we are preaching and telling people. Regardless of your party, regardless of your candidate, we are saying that we want a new Nigeria. We want a Nigeria where NEPA will not take life. We want a Nigeria where ASUU will not keep our students. We want a Nigeria where government will negotiate with ASUU, not with terrorists.
And as they make the 10 to 12 kilometers walk to the city gate with fanfare, the message remains unchanged.
Shishi! We know they collect shishi! Comrades! 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 Are they useful? Say, are they useful? My name now,
of kidnapping, of terrorists. Nigerians want to be free. Our leaders have failed us. This is a land that is supposed to be flowing with oil and milk and is now flowing with tears and blood. Nigerians want to be free. We are taking our destiny in our hands. We have just marched from Hilton to the city gate, telling you that this time around nothing will stop us. Obi is simply a symbol of the freedom. Freedom from poverty, freedom from insecurity, freedom from paying subsidy without end, freedom from lack of intellectual power in governance. We are marching for our freedom.
With only 3 days to the official kickoff of presidential campaigns across the country, more Nigerians, especially the youths, are clamoring for a fresh political leadership that will rescue the country from unemployment, a heavy debt profile, and insecurity, to mention a few. Mary Chinda, Arise News.
Right, Steve, your take on this?
This is like testing the mic. You know, the campaigns have not started, but then you can see that there is energy. There's mobilization. The obedient movement is something that you cannot ignore. And Abuja has shown that guys are prepared. But then it's not about gathering people just to line up the streets. I like the fact that thousands upon thousands of people are showing interest. But then my point is, when the campaigns actually start, what will be the message? That's what Nigerians are interested in. It's not about how many hundreds of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people can come up, on the street. But this is good. Abuja was brilliant. And if you pitch that with what has been happening Kaduna, Ebonyi, etc. This is a movement that you cannot ignore. And it sends a message to the two other big parties, the APC and the PDP. Interestingly, you don't see so much of Labour Party in all this. You see obedient movement. You see people who believe in the persona of Peter Obi. But then this is something that they need to learn. Peter Obi will not be on the ballot. It is Labour Party that will be on the ballot. So there will be, I expect that there will be a kind of firm transition when campaigns actually start. That yes, the popularity of Peter Obi will have to translate into gathering momentum for the Labour Party. Because in February next year, that's the party that people will be voting for. So this is a good way to test the mic. We're hoping that by October 1st or thereabout, that they are planning to come to Lagos, something will happen. We had Dele Farotimi here yesterday saying that nobody should think that he's coming to the memorial ground, if we can use that word, for the NSAS. No. But the Lagos part will happen, if you know what I mean. I mean, nobody should desecrate what happened in 2020. But then the obedient movement, it's a message to Nigerians, is to say that the youth can be involved. People can, gather themselves and say that we believe in a particular movement. That there is vision, there is mission, and then it's happening. So I like that. But then consistency, sustainability is what those who are behind this will have to work on, in my opinion. But I mean, these are early days. By Thursday, Friday, weekend that we're entering, we'll know who are the big boys as far as campaigns are concerned.
I think one thing is certain that, like you said, sir, that you cannot push away the fact that the obedient movement has come to stay.
Absolutely.
And it will shape the political landscape of Nigeria. This obedient movement reminds me of the words of famous philosopher, thinker, speaker, author Schopenhauer, that says every great idea is first refused. But that idea that is refused now becomes an orthodox idea. At first, when the obedient movement started, they said they had no structure. But now politicians are learning that the structure, the true structures are the people. Not only the governorship not only the governors across states, not only the state party leaders, not only the political executives across states, not only the canvassers in words, but the people that go out there and make their own choice. Those are the structures. And that is what is indicative. And that's why this day did a stellar job at sampling and putting a finger on the degree of that opinion. This has evolved from not just having structure, and the people have said, we have the structures and the people. The shocking thing, when I investigated these rallies, it's not even Labour Party. Labour Party has come and said they are not even the ones conducting the rally. It's the people that are taking the initiative.
Labour counts because
themselves.
The campaigns have not started.
So it's the people that are taking the initiative themselves and having all of these rallies.
That's right.
And you cannot deny the fact that there's a fillip, there's a momentum to the Obi campaign. But you raise a very good point. Will they sustain it? Because once the campaign kicks in, it's going to be a long, wild race.
5.5 months?
Yeah, up till February.
It's a long haul.
It's going to be a long haul. And the question will also be, who creates the issues? Because there are two things we create in electionary campaign. We create sentiments and we create issues. At first, the sentiment is good for buzz. That's what the social media will need.
Both are important.
Yeah, but also the issues are the substance of the matter. So the question will be, who can map out the sentiments and who can map out the issues of this campaign?
Yeah.
And those issues will be front burner, will be cornerstone. Also, the sentiments will lead to the issues. The issues sometimes, when it's being curated, will lead to the sentiments. Also, the role of data, and that's why I'm happy about what this day has done. This day always take the giant step. In fact, I call this day the newspaper with the big hearts, the giant heart, the lion heart.
Yeah.
Having a great collaboration with international polling agencies to be able to say this is the disposition of the sample size. And I like when I hear those words like data, sample size, because you see the cornerstone of every data is sample size. You can't tell me you are doing a national spread data poll and you don't have a very big sample size. You are saying you want to poll a country and you have just 1,000 sample size, and most of them are called people. And over 300 people rejected to be part of that, and 700 people talked, and you said you have a poll. You don't have a poll. And that's why I'm happy international agencies are coming in, probably with more funding so we can have bigger sample size. At least we want to start seeing polls that have sample size of over 20,000 people. I know it's going to cost you a lot, but that's going to be mapped across 36 states of the country. 20,000 people divided by 36, you do the maths, each people being polled. Also randomized sampling, weighted average, with good margin of error. And also a sample size that is drilling down into 774 local government areas.
Yeah.
Sample size as 1,000 and 774 local, over 70,000 samples. Those are the kind of data we can extrapolate. And that's why I'm excited about this Day partnership. And what this Day pretty much was saying in the report is the fact that Obi has a lot of fillip in the Southeast. We'll always vote regionally. He will push his Southeast needle. He will gain more grounds there. He will also do well in the urban areas, because you can't deny the fact. Most politicians, when you talk to them, they say something. They say, yes, okay, we talk about structure, we talk about incumbency, we talk about other things. But the thing we're always scared of, and most politicians are scared, is the fact that their own children will always tell them we'll vote a Peter Obi. Even in the urban areas, politicians will tell you. So these days, looking at a 30-40% threshold for being in a place like Lagos and everything. The Northeast might not be that great, but urban Southwest, 30-40%, 60% threshold in his heartland, the Southeast, and looking at the battleground states. The question is, it will come down to the party president. And that's why I'm also excited that these days collaborating with top agencies and putting out the data set out there, because we're going to be having monthly randomized sampling to be able to show, okay, what's the fillip of the conversation? You know, where's the conversation even going? What's the zeitgeist? What's the feel of the conversation? What are people talking about? Because it's when these polls come out, you start to see that the issues that are dominating in the Southeast are not the ones dominating the Southwest. No. The issues that are dominating in the Northeast are not the ones dominating in the Northwest. Issues that are dominating in the North Central are not the ones dominated in other parts of the country. And the good thing about data is it's also going to, you know, inform how candidates will target message. Because I tell people that there's something called electioneering science, that you target your message to what people are talking. So the campaign adverts that are running in the North is not going to be what's running in the East. It's going to be feeding into the sentiment. And that's why I say the paramount factor is how you can create the issues, then you create the sentiments, then you create also the degree, the feeling of the people. And that's how you get, you know, media coverage that is buzzworthy. And I'm really excited that the electionary process is going to be nothing like ever I've seen before.
Which is why, Rufai, you can't ignore the parts that we tend to dismiss as structure.
Yeah.
Right. When the campaigns start and you're going from state to state, city to city, across the 36 states of the Federation, including Abuja, it won't just be the flag bearer, the candidate speaking in all those states for the party and saying, I want to be president, I want to be vice president. You will need people who want to be governors in those states, who want to be local government chairman, or who are already local government chairman, who want to be ministers, who want to be commissioners. People who will work with you, who will say that the president sits there. When the barrage of files and the things that you have to deal with come to you, you won't have the time like you had when you were campaigning. That's the structure part of it that the bigger parties, you know, tend to emphasize.
And that's the weight they bring in.
Absolutely.
That's the weight they bring in.
Because when it comes to just you, there's so much that you can do. In Kano, in Kaduna, in Zamfara, in Ekiti, in Oyo, who are your guys? Who are the people that are saying, I'm an obedient person, this is what we will do for you in your local government, etc. Those will be key when the campaign starts. That is structure. Don't ignore it.
Time will tell. Don't ignore the structure. The obedient people are saying, we've got a local structure, but it's going to be spread across 774 local governments. And we can assure you that Rise TV will be there with you every step of the way. Your number one go-to plug, like the youths will say, for Everything Election Matter 2023, the biggest and the most expansive coverage. I can assure you get it here. Moving on, the president of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, is warning the federal government over forcing the lecturers back to work without issues being resolved amicably. Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke has said that what the government is trying to do will eventually achieve no good, as no one can force unwilling workers to duty against their wish. The lecturers in the federal universities walked out of the job in February over pay and work conditions.
The question I will ask before I will stop: if the court forced the lecturers to go to work tomorrow, what type of teaching will they do? That's the question. If you court forced Nigerian academics, say go and teach against your will, just like the court forcing a doctor go and treat a patient against your will, how many of us will go and meet that doctor? That's the question I will ask Nigeria.
All right, a lot to talk about, sir.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. Go and teach against your will. I mean, this is the 7th month of the ASUU imbroglio. It's shameful, isn't it, that we have to be here discussing why students are still at home, you know, waiting for government to sort the issues with ASUU. I'm not happy that this is where we are. Nobody is happy. The students are not happy. Everybody is feeling the pain. But then it doesn't look to me like the federal government of Nigeria is interested in a solution that will be, in a solution that everybody will be happy about. You've gone to court, you've gone to the industrial court, you've won first round, but then ASUU has appealed, and that will stay for a long while. There are indications that ultimately what you're trying to do is to deprescribe ASUU. Rufai, what will happen if you look at the carrying capacity of the students in Nigerian public universities, it's almost half of what we're dealing with. If you take out the state universities and the private universities, if you can deal with it, if you can handle it, let's look for alternatives. But then that can come from a government who in 2013, 2012, 2013, 2014 supported ASUU against the Goodluck Jonathan government to say that accede to the demands. Once you have agreed to the demands, deal with it. This is where we are, and it's not cute. It's not tidy. By tomorrow, this week entirely, because we're not going to have a resolution in any time soon in the court. So this week, we'll be dealing with in Calabar, in Port Harcourt, in Abuja, hopefully up north. The same thing that we witnessed in Lagos. Students, non-members, going to the streets to block the roads, going to the airport to say that you can't travel. Look at our plight. If you can deal with it, you should feel our pain. The Minister of Education, who is he? Where is he? We can feel him. We can hear him. It looks like, and he's been there for more than 7 years. The Minister of Labour, who is he? Where is he in all this argument? It's so shameful that we have to get to this point at a time that Nigeria, unfortunately, is dealing with other, issues. ASUU will have to, the federal government will have to look for a different way to sit down with ASUU and say once and for all. Because if we are not careful, Rufai, by December, we'll be saying the same thing. And by December, it will have been a total session gone. 7 months, 9 months is what you deal with in a session in a university. But then we have done 7 months. What are we talking about? It's not fair, it's not cute, it's not nice, it's not tidy, and it's not good for Nigeria.
But what do you expect? In a country where we do not appreciate education, in a country where 20 million children are out of school, in a country where, even in the urban cities like Lagos, you have 2 million children out of school, ASUU going on strike for 7 months, our government not solving the problem doesn't surprise me. But I keep saying that if you want to build Nigeria, you build it through education, intellectual pursuits.
Absolutely.
What is the cost of our investment over the years in education? I'll give you the analysis. Over 20 billion in remittances that comes in every year to this country
From the diaspora.
is the price of people that got their first degree from Nigerian university. In the last 10 years, Nigeria has had a trade deficit of over 160 billion. Guess what fills up that trade deficit? Diaspora remittances. In the last 10 years, we've done over $160 billion in diaspora remittances. It is diaspora remittances that is saving this country. If not for diaspora remittances, the dollar should be looking at close to 1,000 or even over 800 naira now.
Are you sure we won't get there?
Yes, if not for diaspora remittances. Diaspora remittances has been saving the country. And that's why when the CBN wanted to shore up the dollar base in this country, what did they do? They went back to the people in diaspora that got their first degree from Nigerian educational system. And they did a Naira for dollar scheme. That if you bring this XY, we give you more Naira. And we can see that we collected billions quickly of US dollars to shore up our base. So if the people that laid the golden egg, those that got their first degree from Nigerian educational system and went abroad and bringing in money back to this country, and we can see the price of education, then the question is, why isn't the government solving the problem? Because we don't even understand. We don't even care. If you think diaspora remittances, if you think that education is not important, you saw Dr. Philip Ozoa that invested $1 million of his money into UCH. He got his first degree from UCH. Just imagine if UCH had not produced something like that. Look at our own Nigerian Dr. Fauci, Professor Tomori. One day during the COVID crisis, cried on air and said, if not for Western Nigeria scholarship, he said his parents were poor people from Osun State. But he got a Western Nigerian scholarship. He went through the ranks, got up to his PhD level, and today he's serving Nigeria. And we know the immense role he played in saving this country during COVID. And kudos to Baba, wherever is watching us this morning, Professor Tomori, this morning. But that's the price of education. So if we keep neglecting that as a nation, we are not ready. So I'm not surprised. The question is, how will they quickly cover the shame of this 7 months ASUU strike? It is for them to solve the problem. It is for us here, the commentariats, to comment.